So who here today could do with a few more moments of happiness in their life? Come on, put up your hands. Come on. All right, that's more like it. I'm here today to talk to you about one of my projects, which really has its roots in the streets of East London, where I live at the moment. And I go out and I create these little pothole gardens, these little unexpected moments of happiness. You might think it's a little bit strange. Well, I'll tell you where I'm coming from. As part of my master's at Central St Martin's in design, I was looking for a project to turn something that was a bit crappy into something a little bit happier. And potholes are one of those things that they annoy everyone. They annoy cyclists, they annoy drivers, they even annoy pedestrians. And I was trying to brighten them up a little bit, so I turned my hand to some guerrilla gardening. Now, guerrilla gardening itself has been around for a long time. And indeed, Richard Reynolds is the godfather of guerrilla gardening in London. But even before Richard's time, there's some wonderful examples of guerrilla gardening, and one of my favorites was during World War I. The wives of servicemen used to go out and spread seeds for flowers along the train tracks. So when their husbands came back from the war, they'd be greeted by this lovely floral display. And a lot has been talked about guerrilla gardening as a form of protest, as a form of reclaiming land, to give people a voice. But really, my work isn't so rooted in protest. It's much more about creating these sort of moments of happiness. And there's this great Chinese proverb that I love that goes along the lines of, "He who plants a garden plants happiness." And I've lived in London for about 8 or 9 years now. I'm from Australia. And I'm from the bush capital, Canberra. And space isn't an issue in Canberra. Everyone has a back garden, a front garden, side gardens, so many gardens. Whereas in London, everyone's living on top of each other. Everyone's just crammed in, and it's grey for like 9 months of the year. Everyone walks around the streets with their head down, not making eye contact with each other. You sit on the train next to someone for half an hour, 45 minutes, and you don't even make eye contact. God forbid you actually have a conversation with them. And I think this is one of the reasons why my gardens have gathered so much attention in the press. I've never sent out a press release, never really advertised my gardens in any way. I just created a simple little blog, and then they just popped up on places like Oprah.com. In The Sun, they called me the Banksy of guerrilla gardening, which wasn't what the project was all about. It was all about these little moments to challenge people in the streets, to get them out of these little bubbles that they live in, that they walk around in the street. And it gives people something to talk about and to really sort of challenge them, on a different sort of level. So these are two ladies who came across one of my gardens in the street, who I captured in a documentary that I'm about to show you in a moment. And it's quite interesting because I've had the experience of gardening all around the world now, and I've gardened in Italy and in India, in the States. But this documentary I'm about to show you, a short excerpt from, and it's called Holes of Happiness. And it was shot around the streets of East London. And what I was really trying to do was to capture what people thought of when they came across my gardens, why they thought they were there, what went through their mind when they came across them.
Well, we were walking along the street and we came across a little rose garden, very small rose garden.
Some compost and some flowers in the pavement.
Doesn't make me feel bad, so it's a positive feeling.
You can see the lovely flower and the fruits growing with it. It's lovely.
All right, when I saw the plant, I did like it. It had nice color, and that's how I want to take it. I want to take it to my house.
Basically green with your red flower, then a yellow flower. Really beautiful.
It was quite unusual to see greenery in a concrete jungle like Brick Lane. It's quite nice.
The flowers are pretty, yeah. The green, not much of it, is there? Best things come in small packages, isn't it?
It's quite unusual because East London is very concretey. So when I saw it, I was quite surprised.
It brightened up our day a little bit because it is quite grey today, and the red of the flowers was really nice. I did want to touch it.
Refresh your mind, something nature. We are the part of nature.
What have you got there? You've got a is that a hyacinth? It's a hyacinth.
And some snowdrops and pansies.
Lovely, lovely. Well, that's a bit of a change.
First of all, I thought it was natural, so I thought, well, that's really interesting, like the way nature finds its way, even in the urban world.
Though I did wonder whether maybe it just cropped up of its own accord, which was a nice thought, but possibly not the most realistic.
God didn't put them there, but he gave us the will to put them there. There you go.
I suppose it might highlight how much we use cars instead of walking and public transport.
I see that more as a kind of street art, more as an aesthetic intervention rather than a awareness of a pothole.
I'd be interested who did it and why. Why someone planted a small garden in the pothole. I think that someone might want to plant a small garden in a pothole because they might want to make a point that this is actually an unnecessary thing, but also, well, it might be also to beautify the city.
It is very pretty, and I hope it'll be left there, that they won't go over it with their flippant car.
I don't think the length of the life of the garden would be the problem. I suppose it would be more the way it might meet its end. So if it was going to be constantly run over by cars, it would be a little bit sad, I suppose.
Well, at least we can see it's more visible when you're driving or anything. Yeah.
I think a better way of highlighting a pothole would be a big lump of something really nasty. Flowers, don't think flowers would work, mate. We need metal spikes and chains for London. Flowers won't work.